Hey guys, well, in a series of events of Google just flat out having a very bad year so far, Apple is now starting to challenge Google's dominance in the search industry. Apple is starting to secretly plan to offer AI search options in Safari, which is their own web browser that they have on macOS, on iOS, on iPhones, iPadOS, the whole nine yards. It's their own web browser. And now they're going to start planning on making their own search engine for their own browser. Now, this is a genuinely big deal because iPhones are the biggest in terms of market share, and Google pays Apple a fortune to have Google be the default on iPhones. And even then, the United States courts want to take that away from Google too. We're going to go ahead and get into it in today's video. Let's get right into it. All right, so we're going to start off by reading this article by Reuters. Apple plans to offer AI search options will start to challenge Google's dominance in the search industry. So, Apple, and it's kind of been speculated for a while that Apple was going to go ahead and make their own search engine. But apparently, according to Reuters, they're now starting to actually go out and, all things considered, actually do this. So, Apple's plans to add AI powered search options to its Safari browser are a very big blow to Google, whose lucrative advertising business, which relies solely around search, not solely, but mostly around search, relies significantly on iPhone customers using its search engine. Because remember, iPhones are the biggest in phone market share. iPhones are genuinely the most popular phone out there. They are bigger than Android, and it's the dominant in market share. So if Apple goes ahead and terminates the exclusivity agreement with Google, this could be a very big blow to them. Furthermore, I should point out the U.S. courts. I don't know if they ever solidified this, but they were thinking about removing Google's ability to make these kinds of exclusivity agreements in the first place, where their browser becomes the default. And this honestly just kind of is a major fatal blow to Google because Google banks on the fact that they are the default search engine. That's what they've always banked on. They're the default search engine on their own browser, on other browsers like Firefox, on phones like iPhones, on different manufacturers' phones. They bank on this heavily. So having this taken away from them is, well, really bad news for Google. The news actually slammed shares of Google's parent company Alphabet, which closed down with down 7.3%, wiping roughly 150 billion from its market value, which for a company as big as Google isn't like the worst thing that could happen. It's a pretty big chunk, but that's still just 7%. Google is a big company. So it's not like a fatal death blow to Google, but it is certainly it's certainly a sign that things are not on the up and up for them, and they aren't going to be. So the iPhone maker was actively looking at reshaping Safari, as sorts familiar with the matter told Reuters, citing Apple executive Eddie Q, who was offering testimony in an antitrust case on Wednesday over Google's dominance in online search. So Q said that searches on Safari fell for the first time last year due to users increasingly turning to AI, which is true. Admittedly, a lot of users are starting to turn to AI instead of using traditional search engines for specific different types of research and different kinds of queries. This is fundamentally true. As AI gets better and better, sometimes it just becomes more convenient to get your answer using AI rather than like Google sleuthing. So, admittedly, yeah, this is that's to be expected. And Google is trying to accommodate for this by adding its own AI tooling in Google. You've probably already noticed this with the whole AI summaries and stuff like that in Google Gemini. But Apple, at least according to somebody at Apple, they want to go ahead and try to capitalize on this and make AI search alternatives, right? And this would again be a basically a very fatal death blow for Google because that means they're no longer the default. And Google is willing to pay tens of billions of dollars to remain the default search engine. They've always been. They have been since basically every other third-party web browser in existence. They pay tens of billions to Firefox to be the default. They pay tens of billions to Apple, to different manufacturers. The only one they don't pay tens of billions to is Microsoft because they have Bing on their own browser. Um, so again, it's no surprise that Google's Google stock is just plummeting because, well, if they're losing such a big market base to Apple, then, well, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad news for Google. But honestly, I think there is worse news for Google just with the antitrust case. Well, two antitrust cases alone. I don't think this is what's going to kill Google. I think what's going to kill Google is probably just the two antitrust cases on their own because they're so heavy and so big that they will, quite honestly, demolish Google's core business. And mind you, I should also point out the fact that I'm a little skeptical to Apple's search engine idea, namely because the last couple of forays they had into AI, they kind of screwed up to an extreme extent. They really screwed it up bad. Apple Intelligence was not good. It really wasn't good at all. It was really bad. Um, and admittedly, they were trying to go ahead and course correct this by changing their managerial structure when it comes down to AI products. So I'll give them that. They might make something that's actually good, but their track record so far has kind of proved otherwise, and that they can't quite get this done in a good fashion. So I'm a little skeptical as to how it would turn out. Um, it just in terms of like a user perspective, I'm not sure how good it would be because Apple for the past while has really struggled with AI. And again, they have tried to course correct this by changing up their management structure that as of this year. So maybe it's not such a bad thing. Maybe they can become on the maybe they can get on the up and up again. But at least as their track record goes, it doesn't look too good for them in terms of whether or not this is going to be an actual substantial product or not. But only time will tell. That's about it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, you guys, and remember to stay safe out there.